Go, 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 go.
All right. I am ready to party.
We are professional broadcasters.
It's Baseball at the Corner. This is the Michigan in Trouble podcast with your hosts, Alex S. Freeman and Luke Jaconis.
Hello and welcome to the Michigan and Trumbull podcast. Luke, an interesting week from sweep to swept, the Detroit Tigers story.
From swept to sweep to swept, realistically. And I know that goes back into last week, but if we want to talk about this road trip as a whole, you get swept, then you sweep, you think, all right, we're not that bad, and then you get swept again. It would appear to me so far, just, the Tigers are there now. They are 6-10, 16 games into the season. It would appear to me that they just don't like to play on the weekends, and their attitude and the results on the weekend show that.
Yeah, it's interesting for guys that literally play a game for a living. You would think that the day of the week wouldn't matter that much, but these guys are apparently working for the weekend, and then they truly take it off.
Yes.
Not all bad. We'll get into it. We'll dive into it more in depth because, obviously there are many good things to talk about from this week of Tigers baseball. There are also just some really atrocious things.
Yeah, this is where we might differ because I honestly look at the 10-game road trip and I don't think it was successful at all. I don't think you can say going 3-7 on a road trip is a good road trip. You lose 4 in Oakland, you lose 3 in Cleveland, and you sweep somehow. They sweep the Houston Astros, which when I think it comes down to it, you can make an argument when it's all said and done. Out of the 3 teams that we just played this past week and a half, the Astros may finish with the best record out of them all. But before, I know we're going to because we talked about the Houston series already on the Thursday show with Tom, which Tom, I'm sure will listen to this or he'll watch this because he is our top fan now, according to Facebook. I don't know how he finagled his way into that position, but somehow he did it. Congrats to Tom. Congrats to the Oakland A's. They rightfully won this series. Detroit got outplayed in every single capacity as far as I'm concerned. And even before we go into Detroit's miscues and downfalls, I think it has to be noted. The Oakland A's are just a really good baseball team. They just do so much right, even though they are such a small marketed team. We've talked about how their stadium is just a complete hellhole. And realistically, they don't have the big marquee names on their lineup. They got a couple really, really, really solid guys, but they don't have their own Mookie Betts or Mike Trout or Javier Baez or, Pete Alonso, Lindor, whoever it might be. Did I say Lindor twice? I did. I don't know if I did or not at this point.
It's fine.
It's fine. But anyways, yes, I'm losing it, folks. Someone help me. But yeah, no, I mean, the A's are just a good team, man. Through and through. I think they hit really well. I think their pitching staff as a whole is really solid. When we weren't getting to their starters, I was like, well, if we don't get to the starter, I don't think we're going to get to the bullpen. Their bullpen is good. Their bullpen that is what it must feel like to have a team. When you have a lead, you bring in guys for the 6th, the 7th, the 8th, and the 9th, and you feel pretty good that you're going to get the job done. Not as a Tigers fan. We've never had that security being Tigers fans with the bullpen. So give credit where credit's due. Again, I think the A's really scrappy lineup. They play great defense. Their corner, those guys do it first and third with Matt Olson and I can't think of his freaking name, Matt Chapman. Sorry. Chapman and Olson, all those guys. I mean, they're good. They can do it, man. So, and they got good coaching too. I like Bob Melvin.
Also, the Athletics are the hottest team in baseball right now.
True.
They are on an 8-game winning streak. Obviously, 4 of those games came against the Detroit Tigers.
I'm trying to think what's the one guys
are in and out, but that is to be said, which is why I think that we can't take being swept by the hottest team in baseball as necessarily the season is over.
Yeah,
just the same way that we can't take sweeping the Houston Astros as
the season is over.
We're heading to the playoffs.
Exactly.
A lot of good things, but things of nice highlights, particularly like Matthew Boyd's start yesterday.
Yeah.
A great start on Sunday. Maybe got left out too long. Maybe shouldn't have come out for the 8th.
See, I liked AJ rolling the dice on him. I mean, look, at a certain point in time, too. For the record, I like that. I don't have any issues. But Matthew Boyd, in my opinion, is the MVP. Doesn't mean anything. We're 16 games in the season, but his 4 starts this year have maybe been the best Matthew Boyd has ever looked at his career ever. If he keeps this up, he is for sure going to be talked about at the trade deadline. And on top of that, he will 100% be the Tigers' selection as their all-star this year. I don't know if they'll get more than one, but if we're only getting one, depending where the team's at come July, Matthew Boyd is going to be our guy. I definitely think he's looking at an all-star nod if he keeps this kind of performance up. But with AJ Hinch, I didn't mind the move. Because here's the thing. Eventually, it looks like we can only hold these guys' their hands for so long. Eventually, this rebuilding, quote unquote, is going to have to finish. And, you have to see who can hang and who can't. So, Matthew Boyd went out there, gave up the home run, his first home run given up of the year. I think and all of us being Matthew Boyd fans, if we all would have known at the start of the season that the first home run he would give up is in his 4th start of the year, I think we'd all be like, that's pretty damn good. We'll take that. So I don't have any issues with it. Eventually, these guys are adults. We have to let them kind of see if they can hang or not. It was a good test for Matthew. Didn't quite work out probably as much as he would have liked to, but the Tigers did not lose the game on Sunday because of Matthew Boyd's performance. Hell, because of Matthew Boyd's performance is the only reason they even had a chance to win it in the first place. So Matthew Boyd is just incredible what he's doing this year. Hats off to the guy.
I guess you're right in that him coming out for the 8th is not necessarily. I shouldn't be second guessing that move. That's pretty easy for me to do based on what happened. I guess what I'm questioning is when he gives up that home run, how is he facing another batter after that? I don't know why Cisnero wasn't ready to come in and lock down that inning so that it does hold at 2-2. And I think that's probably the bigger feeling there is why. I guess Cisnero did come in and hold it at 2-2, but he had to do it with base runners in place because Matt let a few more guys on base. And so I think that to me is probably the more questionable managerial decision in that spot. And then bad bounces end up losing that game. I don't know that there's anything that now, I will say I did feel like Victor was having a particularly hard time tracking the ball in center field on other occasions in the game.
Yeah,
and so
Victor Reyes is not very popular right now amongst Tigers fans at all.
Maybe there is more he could have been doing to be able to see the ball in the sun, or it just might look particularly bad, this one, that they all lost it in the sun, because he'd had a couple of other spots in the game where he was clearly struggling with seeing it.
It's hard
in the sun
to mark that.
Yeah,
no, you are right. You lose one in the sun, people go, that happens. That's human nature. A couple of the routes they took to some other balls, you kind of go, okay, I wish we had Jacoby Jones in center field right now, because although he may not be bringing it with the bat right now, I always feel confident in his defensive abilities. Jacoby, that's never a question for me. It was just, the series was bad. They got beat in every single capacity, and you want to compare the Houston series and the Oakland series. It's pretty simple. The starting pitching overall in the Oakland series for the Tigers was poor, and the bats didn't come alive. Simple as that. Defense was shaky too at times. It was not a good series at all. I think you can chalk it up to two things. One, again, as I said, the Oakland Athletics, I think, are a very good baseball team. And two, the Tigers are still trying to figure out their identity. As much as we would all like to relive the Houston series on a daily basis, I just don't know if that's still feasible with this team. Now, just because I don't know if it's feasible, I don't think we're going to return back to 2019 form of the Tigers. I still think that this is a team that has the pitching capability, especially on the pitching side. We have seen early on that these starters have the stuff. Even Urania, who I crapped on a lot on the Thursday episode, he went out and had a really nice start too. The bats just didn't back him up. So we know that these starters can bring it. We've seen that the offense can bring it, and they brought it against a good team in Houston, even though right now they're just kind of getting their teeth kicked in, and also they're dealing with some COVID issues. but like we know that this team overall has the capability. The only kind of portion of the team that hasn't showed up, in my opinion, all the way this year is the bullpen. But again, we're Tigers fans. We're used to that. We've seen a couple of guys do okay in spots, but overall, I don't even know how Joe Jimenez is allowed to pitch in the major. He had 2 appearances, I think, in the Oakland series, both abysmal. How he is still even on the major league roster at this point is beyond. Send him down and get Bo Burrows back up here. Get Funkhauser up here. Give someone else a shot, because Joe Jimenez just looked absolutely pitiful in his 2 appearances in Oakland. But again, it was a night and day series. Everything we did well in Houston, we did not do in Oakland, and you got to tip your hat to Oakland. Those guys can hit, man, and you know they play great defense. Again, that, as I almost befuddled the names earlier, but the Chapman and Olsen connection at third and first base is really remarkable. I think they were saying in the broadcast how like they have like some of the most, or maybe was it Matt Chapman has saved the like top 5 and most saved runs or something like that at third base. Like the dude's a wizard, so. He can bring it. That whole A's team can. And they can hit. And as I kind of mentioned earlier, I'm a big Bob Melvin fan. So I think he really knows how to manage a team. And they imagine if Oakland could get someone like a Mookie Betts or a Francisco Lindor or whoever it may be, that big marquee name, they would be quite unstoppable. And what was with the Oakland fans? The whole, like, the middle school drum section, like, what? I've never even heard of that before until this series. If I wanted to watch some crappy drummers, I would just go watch Drumline with Nick Cannon. Actually, that movie's not that bad, so I shouldn't.
Yeah, I can't imagine like being a go to the game on the regular Oakland fan and having to deal with that section. But then again, I mean, I guess like if it is your stadium, then maybe you're.
But also, like, do those people, are they employed by the stadium, or are they just fans who bring in?
No, I think they're just fans who bring in a drum.
A damn near wedding singer, like, group, like that. They just, like, were they, like, fired off a cruise ship gig because of COVID, and this is now the next, is the cruise business a little slow? I don't, so I guess they just bring in their drums every day, and they do their own rendition of the 2014 film Whiplash, and I guess more power to them. So. But yeah, it was they're annoying. That's the way you can put it. But hey, they're doing their job, because if they're annoying the opposing fans and the opposing players, they're doing their job. So hats off to them. But yeah, I had never even heard of that before. So when I hear whistles and drums and a freaking mariachi band, what else was ever there? I mean, I'm like, what is going on right now? Is this 5th grade band practice? What's happening? But yeah, so hats off to Oakland. They're a great team. Tigers didn't bring it, and now they got to figure it out, because on a 4-game slide, on paper, Pittsburgh is playing better than probably people have expected at this point as we kind of shift into this week. But, this is something we talked about earlier in the season. Although Pittsburgh's playing okay right now, I think they're even a game or 2 under 500. They're not quite as bad as a team like the Rockies, or hell, even the New York Yankees, who are just having a brutal time right now. Oh, my heart just breaks for those $1 million Yankee players who they make so much money, and they're like 5 and 10, and the fans are throwing baseballs on the field. Oh, my heart just breaks for them. They're just so sad. Let's all say a quick silent prayer, I think, for the New York Yankees and how pitiful they're playing, because it's just terrible. It's absolutely terrible. But
the Pirates are 7-9 right now. The Pirates are 7-9.
I mean, again, I think a lot of people would have probably predicted them to be along the lines of like Colorado has only won 3 games or 4 games, but they're playing better. It's still that first month of the season where everyone is still in the game technically. But, on paper, this is a win. This is the series you got to go out there and win. And after getting swept against Oakland, I don't think it's too much out of the question for us to now ask for them to go out and return the sweep to the Pirates. They did it with Oakland, with from Cleveland to Houston. Now let's see if we can do it from Oakland to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that was most notable coming out of this week for me was the inconsistency of the bats, because obviously everything was working in Houston. Lots of great hitting happening. Felt like they turned a corner, and then something happened when they went to Oakland. Not quite sure what it was, but they just went absolutely ice cold, and hopefully they can hit their way out of it. And it's not like Miguel Cabrera was also not in the lineup in Houston, so it's not like we lost a bat that was hitting really well. Not that Miguel was hitting particularly well before he went on the IL. And so I don't quite know what the solution or the issue is there, but that seems to be more than the bullpen to me. I think it's the inconsistent bats that if they can't consistently string together 3-4 runs in a game, even, it took what was it, 3 games into the Oakland series before they had a run
got shut out Friday, Saturday. Yeah. And then Harold Castro. I mean, they also squandered some opportunities on the Sunday game too. They left the bases loaded in the first. I mean, they just didn't get the big hit point. I mean, that's it. That's what it comes down to. And there's been a lot of guys, and I don't want to start calling people out, but maybe that's how we kind of got to go about this, considering how crappy the bats have been. But unfortunately, guys like Jonathan Scope and Jacoby Jones are just having really, really tough starts to their year. Willie Castro has kind of been hot and cold. Nunez, hot and cold. It seems if Wilson Ramos isn't hitting the big fly, he's been one of the bright spots. Jamer still continues to hit for the most part, which is good. Even Akil Baddoo really kind of has slumped lately and has cooled off. So it's not that I think the lineup is overall bad, because we have seen in a few series this year that they can produce and they can bring it. I just think they're really going through it right now. And here's the deal. 2 things. One, we talked about this, Tom and I, in our group chat when we were watching the games. The Tigers, unfortunately, they don't have that big name. They don't have that Mike Trout name, that Aaron Judge, Stanton, Lindor, whoever it might be, Abreu.
Well, they don't even have
who's the guy? They don't even have Mercedes for the White Sox, like
Chapman. They don't have a Chapman. They don't have a guy.
Exactly. They don't have, and I'm not trying to just go on a
tangent. Whit Merrifield, who's not a big name in baseball, but he's going to come up and get. He's going to get a knock or two every game.
He's really good, but it's just hard because they don't have any of that. Jamer's good, but he's not at that level yet. Miggy at one point in time was at that level, but he is not any longer. And then you think, well, all right, well, what about Wilson Ramos? Wasn't he leading the majors in home runs last week? It's but he's still a catcher they brought here on a 1-year, couple $1 million deal. He's not going to all of a sudden be the guy. Renato Nunez, I still think he's probably going to has the potential. I think at least to
Ramos
20,
is hitting
25 bombs.
Ramos is hitting outside of the long ball has not been great.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's my point. How much of a return in these investments do we think we're going to get? You think Renato Nunez is going to all of a sudden become the next Mike Trout or Cody Bellinger? It doesn't work like that, unfortunately. Very rarely do they strike. They've struck and found gold a couple times. The guy like a JD Martinez, Akil Baddoo was fun the first 2 weeks of the season, but that even seems to be cooling off. So just overall, to put a bow on this point, they just don't have that it guy yet. So the only way they're going to get that it guy is if they make a trade, they do a big free agent signing, or they hope and pray that a guy like Torque and or Riley Green pans out and turns into one of those elite level players that you put in the lineup that strikes fear into the heart of the opponent. And some teams like the White Sox, the Braves, the Angels, the Yankees, the Blue Jays, they just have multiple of those guys. The Mets are another one, the Cardinals. So it's so funny to see some of these teams who have 2 or 3 of these guys. And it's can we just get one? I'll take a half. Can we get a half? I'll do a quarter even. I'll settle for 1/4 of a Mike Trout if we could do that right now. But that was a big issue. And we just don't have those guys, unfortunately. And I can't think of the other point I was going to make, but I'm sure it'll come back to me. But yeah, that was it was just too inconsistent, and that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. The other point I was going to make too is you look at the lineup as it is right now. And in my mind, I was thinking, because sometimes people like to make the excuse, well, they're kind of banged up. And I'm not knocking these guys, but who are they really banked up on? Nomar Mazar and Miggy. That's it. Do you think if you put Nomar Mazar and Miguel Cabrera into this lineup, it automatically then becomes the LA Dodgers lineup or the Atlanta Braves lineup or the Boston Red Sox, how they're playing right now and hitting? No, it doesn't happen like that. I'm not trying to knock those guys. We love Miggy. We've said that ad nauseum on the show, but it's just you have to have a certain amount of expectation. Again, I still think this team can hit. I still think the pitching has the capability. I still think this team can end up in the low 70s this year, despite the fact that they have been swept pretty much. I think they've been swept yet the last 2 weekends in a row. So yeah, not great there. But they still have the capability, I think, because I guess is what I'm getting at as I'm rambling here, that I think they can be like a 70 to still 72-ish wins team. I really believe that.
Yeah, I think that's definitely true. And so I want to kind of talk a little bit about pitching, because you have knocked the bullpen. First, I'm going to quiz you a little bit. Who has the lowest ERA, bullpen inclusive, on the Detroit Tigers roster right now?
Oh, we're only talking bullpen here, or the entire pitching staff?
Including whole entire pitching staff, including the bullpen, not separating starters from the bullpen.
Oh man. Oh God, it's gonna be a trick question. It's gonna piss me off. I'll go.
Yes.
Yeah, because I feel like it would be Matthew Boyd based on his start, but I'm going to guess it's not him because you're trying to trick me. I see what you're trying to do. You're trying to make a fool of me. I'm going to say that the lowest bullpen for the team is Tyler Alexander.
It's Harold Castro.
You son of a bitch. You're a real ass.
Julio Teheran actually has the lowest ERA, 1.8.
Yeah. And that's a cop out too. He's not even pitched the rest of the year. Yeah.
And then Matthew Boyd is 2.03.
Okay.
Then it looks like Gregory Soto is at 2.45, who I do think has been pretty good. This has been really solid this year.
Yes.
It's not, I don't know that I don't know when or if the Tigers will ever have a guy that is truly a closer that you just like locked down the ninth inning. But Gregory Soto is getting close for me, where I at least feel confident when he comes in that unless they're able, like they're a particularly strong hitting lineup that can catch up to his fastball, and his placement's not wild.
Yeah.
He's going to be okay. He's going to be able to fan guys. I think he has really like dialed that in a little bit much more this season than a few times last season where the control was a bit of an issue. But I do think he's done a very nice job this year.
I think if you're looking at pieces that could potentially be with this team long term, your two best bets at this point in time are Brian Garcia and Gregory Soto. I think those two guys you could definitely see with this team still a few years down the road as they try to get towards that illustrious World Series championship. And in my mind right now, if I'm AJ Hinch, I'm giving Gregory Soto probably the ball in the ninth inning. But also like Brian Garcia, I still feel confident with him. Cisnero is a tricky one. Sometimes I see his stuff and I go, man, when he's dialed in, he's dialed in. But when he doesn't have it, he doesn't have it. And then beyond that, it's a lot of the guys I'm just kind of whatever on.
That's kind of like the general complaint of a lot of these bullpen guys in particular is that they're not very well equipped with tricky pitches, that if they're struggling, they can still like pitch their way through it and like create ground ball situations. They're not going to fan guys they're a little bit strike them out or nothing.
Yep. Strike them out or walk them. I mean, a lot of walks come out of this bullpen again. It's like I feel like the ghost of Rick Anderson. Rick Anderson is not dead, folks. I'm just saying, as the pitching coach, he is his ghost as pitching coach is back. As far as I'm aware, Rick Anderson is alive and well, and God bless him.
Luke, I would like you to try and guess Joe Jimenez's ERA.
Oh God. I'm going to say it is 45.
That's exactly correct. Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah. That is the worst ERA by about 30. 34.
Oh, good.
Derek Holland has 11.57 right now is his ERA.
Yeah, not good. Joe, how far Joe Jimenez has fallen is truly remarkable. This guy was an all-star in 2018, and ever since he got that all-star,
as Tom so kindly reminded us,
he said Joe Jimenez was an all-star, and I was like, "Good God, this guy sucks." I think he has taken the mantle of my new least favorite Tiger. And even in a short week, he's taken that prestigious honor away from Jose Urena, because Urena at least went out on Friday night and pitched fairly well. His offense just completely left him out to dry. So Yeah, Joe Jimenez, how he is still on the team is beyond me. And they haven't, I mean, I would honestly not that I dislike Joe Jimenez because I've seen him do well before, but it's just like, he just doesn't look like he's even remotely got it together when he steps foot on that mound. He looks like the minute he throws one ball, he's done. He's done. Mm-hmm. So I'm surprised they, quite frankly, haven't sent him back down and called someone up like a Bo Burrows or a Funkhauser. I know Franklin Perez is the other big name we've heard for a while. I don't know where he's at, but one of those guys, just one of them. So we'll see. But yeah, just again, I know we're going to get into the Pittsburgh stuff here soon, but just this past weekend at Oakland was very, very bad. So literally it can only go up from here. I hope anything the Bats do this series in Pittsburgh would be an improvement. So let's just see what happens.
Yeah, and one last thing on pitching before we go to break, and then we'll come back and talk about this upcoming week. There are 4 Detroit Tigers pitchers who have not given up a home run so far this year.
Oh, let me try to guess them.
I would say, yeah, you want to guess?
4 of them, you said. Okay.
One of them's a trick. One of them's my favorite trick.
Harold Castro.
Yep.
It's true. How can I forget? He retired Nelson Cruz at home. What a guy! What a guy!
The only Tigers pitcher in history to face Nelson Cruz.
Also, I want to go back. True. Yes. Props to Harold, and he was the only guy to drive in a run in the last 3 games. So props to Harold Castro. He's the true MVP right now, not Matthew Boyd. Real quick, I want to also add someone to that list of people who I think could be potential long term. Buck Farmer as well. I think he's had a really crappy start to this year, but I still think you can group Buck Farmer, Soto, and Garcia kind of in the 3 for bullpen down the road. Just wanted to state that just so I'm on record in case anyone ever tries to take me to court on my verbiage later down the road. Okay, so 4 people who haven't given up a home run on the Tigers. One of them was Harold Castro. I know Fulmer has, Boyd has, pretty sure Urania has. Who are the other starters? I can't. Daniel Norris. Mize, Skubal. Jeez. So it's got to be some bullpen guys who haven't given up some home runs. Tyler Alexander, one of them?
He has given up 3 home runs.
Jesus. How about we go Soto? Soto hasn't given up a home run.
Soto has given up 1 home run.
I give up. Tell me who it is.
Brian Garcia.
I blew my proverbial load with getting Joe Jimenez's ERA.
Yeah, Brian Garcia.
Okay.
Alex Lang, who in we've seen him in for 3.1 innings over I think 2. It says 4 games, but I don't think that doesn't feel right. I feel like I've only seen him twice. But either way, I think he's been a mixed bag, but like good stuff for the future from Alex Lang.
Yeah. I want to see him. Yeah, I want to see what he does.
Promising. I like to see him keep plugging into some spots. And then Joe Jimenez.
Oh, well, duh, because he doesn't have time to give up home runs when he's walking everybody.
He's just walking. He's just walking runs in.
He's walking in home runs. That's what he's pretty much doing. He hasn't given up a home run yet, but he's walked in a grand slam. So riddle me that one, folks. How does that happen? Joe's figured out a way to do it. So
great. A quick note on Buck Farmer is I just kind of like look at the line on him. It's he's given up 5 hits. 4 of them have been home runs. And so like that's gonna blow up your numbers. But it also is, it's at least a sign that like maybe he's hanging some stuff over the middle. He's not quite finding the placement that he wants, but he is at least attacking the strike zone. And so that feels much more fixable than Joe Jimenez, who can't find the strike zone if it was
he's got no control.
The size of my apartment in New York.
Yeah, Joe Jimenez is absolutely zero control on the mound. That's what it comes down to. Yeah. All right, cool. I guess good for Joe. I guess he's doing something not completely terrible, but
a list of great pitching for Detroit that includes Joe Jimenez and Harold Castro in the same list. The state of Detroit.
Yeah, 6 and 10 makes sense right about now. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
When I hear that stat, I go, yeah, okay, I can get on board with 6 to 10.
Yes, 6 to 10. We're doing okay, actually. Now that you've brought these numbers up,
Yeah.
we're surviving. But we're going to take a quick break. We're going to go to the ad break. We will come back and we will preview this coming week of baseball. We'll be right back.
Let's do it.
We are back on the Michigan and Trumbull podcast. Luke, before we get into this week's preview, I'm a little insulted that you have not complimented my hat on the episode. My new hat.
Well, to be fair, I don't compliment things I don't like. And that hat is garbage. Whatever website you paid that on robbed you blind. No, it's a nice hat. It's a very nice hat.
It's a beautiful hat. It's a nice
hat.
orange. It's a nice, beautiful, like, leather. It's got Detroit right there down on the.
I like that.
On the lid. It's comfortable. It's cozy. VintageDetroit.com. Shout out to them. I live in New York, and was able to shop at VintageDetroit.com. I ordered the hat. They got it in the mail the next day, and it got to me safe and sound. And it was a great smooth process. So any of you Tigers fans that are not in the Detroit area, I do recommend. Great deals on the website as well. I actually bought this hat on clearance.
Oh,
I love a good clearance deal.
Guy likes the clearance rack, that's for sure. Are you more of a fitted hat guy, or do you like being able to adjust in the back yourself?
I like being able to adjust in the back, mostly because I go too long between haircuts.
Oh, okay.
And so if the amount of hair trying to get underneath the lid is often quite variable. You got a nice hat on yourself, Luke.
I love this hat. I was about to say, before we started rolling, I told you this is my favorite Tigers hat. I think this was their 4th of July hat that they wore, I want to say, in either 2014 or 2015. This is my favorite hat I own, point blank, period. So whenever it has to go bye-bye, I lose it, whatever the case might be, where I don't have this hat in my possession one day, I'll be very sad. But it's a good hit. This hat has been through the ringer, man. This hat has traveled the world with me, which is kind of another reason why, too, I'm kind of sentimental towards it a little bit. It's a sentiment that counts. So
that's right. It's important.
I'm a sentimental guy. What can I tell you? So and
I'm excited because next week, not this coming week, next week I will be sporting this hat at Yankee Stadium. So as you're watching the game, keep an eye out for my orange hat.
Yep.
Probably the Saturday-Sunday game, you're more likely to see me out in the outfield than where my seats are for.
You will be
Friday
playing the outfield
game.
instead of Victor Reyes.
I will be. Yep. I actually have to buy a pair of sunglasses so that I can see the ball.
Yes, of course.
As it goes.
Of course.
Which feels terrible because Victor has
Dig
always
the knife a little deeper while the guys are already getting crapped on. I see how you play.
Yeah.
I see how you play. Hey, you got to win. Hey, you got to do whatever you can in order to win that roster spot from him. So I wish you the best.
I actually think I've got a better shot of winning a bullpen spot if they're letting Joe Jimenez continue to pitch.
True.
I'm going to go out throw it to a home plate.
I'm going to go for DH. I would like to be the designated hitter for the Tigers, so we need a little pop in that bat. Back in the day when we were in college and we would play in the department softball game, I was always looked at as one of our team's biggest power hitters. So I think I would be able to translate very nicely from a state school softball game all the way to the MLB. From
a state school theater department softball game
all the way to the major leagues. They'll be making a movie about me on Disney Plus in 10 years, no doubt in my mind. Who will play me? I'll leave it up to my fans to decide. Probably Jason Biggs. John Stamos. That new John Stamos show on Disney Plus looks awful. Just awful. Who greenlit that?
I have no idea.
I mean, come on.
Really no idea. They looked at the algorithm and they said they like John Stamos.
I like John Stamos too, but that show looks just terrible.
Girls basketball.
Yeah, that's great. But also, just if you like girls basketball, watch the Disney Channel original movie Double Teamed. I mean, that you're better off right then and there than Yeah, I will not be watching the Stamos show, and I'm not watching Mighty Ducks Game Changers. Although I know you said it's quite good, right?
If you're a fan of the Mighty Ducks,
Okay.
it appeals in the same way as the movies do. So but if you're not a Mighty Ducks fan, it will not convert you into being a Mighty Ducks fan. It's
in bringing it back to the world of baseball a bit. I watched on Disney Plus last weekend The Rookie, starring Dennis Quaid. That's a pretty solid little baseball flick. It kind of, I think, gets lost in the shuffle of your major leagues, Sandlots, Field of Dreams, League of Their Own. Don't sleep on The Rookie. I think that's probably, you can maybe make an argument that's a top 5 baseball movie. Maybe. If you argued against me, I don't think I would fault you, but I think you could make an argument. I think it would come in maybe right at that 5 spot. Let me just put it to you this way. The Rookie is a much better baseball movie than Space Jam is a basketball movie.
That's a big statement. Not for you,
because
I know
I guess
that
you can't
hate
kick me
Space
out.
Jam.
Didn't you? I don't hate Space Jam. Can you kick people out if it's just 2 people in here? Will that just end the broadcast?
That's a good question.
Try?
I think it would. No, I think because I don't think I could send you to a breakout room. I don't even think I have the breakout room option.
Finish the show on your own. No, Space Jam is fine. I do think it is fairly overrated though. But yes, I do enjoy The Rookie with Dennis Quaid. But still, my all-time favorite baseball movie, hands down, always going to be Field of Dreams. Dad, when I have a catch, and then I cry like a little baby.
And then you just weep and weep and weep. All right, let's talk Pirates.
Moneyball, that's another good one. Sorry, Moneyball's another great one. Okay, now I'm going back on my
Moneyball.
Now I'm going back on my The Rookie can sneak into the top 5 with movies like Moneyball, Major League, Sandlot, Field of Dreams, League of Their Own. I can't in good conscience say Rookie is better than any of those 5. So I'm going to have to, for the love of the game, Bull Durham. Okay, now I'm really looking like an idiot with that. The Rookie can maybe get into a top 10, maybe top 15. Let's continue on the show before I look like any more of a complete
The Rookie
fraud.
is indeed one of the baseball movies they made. That is,
yeah, it is a baseball movie that you can see, and it's pretty good. What's just Hardball with Keanu Reeves? That's pretty good.
Oh
Except for the love of the game. I actually enjoy Rookie of the Year.
Have we mentioned the Bad News Bears yet?
Oh my God. All right, keep going. Mr. 3000. Oh my God, what have I done? Keep going. Keep going. Just keep going. Just keep going.
All right. So in terms of actual baseball, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Tigers taking on the Pirates back in Detroit. Tuesday night, you will see Michael Fulmer take the mound, which I'm actually okay with based on how it went last time. So that hopefully he continues to do what he has been doing, he translates that great start into another great start. Then Wednesday, the big one, the return of Spencer Turnbull taking the mound. We're expecting his innings to be limited. We're also sort of expecting that is the day that Tarek Skubal will pitch in tandem. AJ Hinch has not, I believe, officially committed to that yet, but we do know that Tarek Skubal will get extended innings somewhere in the Pirates series. Would make sense that we would not be anticipating Turnbull to go deep on Wednesday. And then Thursday, close out the 3-game set with Jose Urena on the mound. Outside of Spencer Turnbull, I can't say that I'm like really excited about any of these pitching, but Urena's been fine. Fulmer was great in his one start. Great to see Spencer back. So that's where I stand on these pitch.
I actually might. I get you. I'm going to differ from you a little bit on this because I'm surprisingly enough kind of excited to see all 3 of these starts. I'm excited to see what Fulmer does in another outing because I agree with you that I think Michael Fulmer has been really good this entire year. I think he's given up a home run in each of his appearances, but we've addressed that already. They were against some Tiger killers, so we can kind of give him a pass there. But I'm curious to see what he does again in a second start. The Turnbull and Tarek, we'll call it, tandem. Ooh, that's fun to say. The Turnbull-Tarek tandem will be, I think, interesting to watch on Wednesday night. Great to see Spence finally make his debut this year. I'm really excited for Spencer Turnbull this year. I think this could be a nice year where he kind of continues to progress down maybe the road that Matthew Boyd is currently on, which I'm all for. So stoked to have Spencer Turnbull back. And yes, AJ Hinch has said already that it may not be with the Spencer Turnbull start, but at some point, Tarek Skubal will kind of piggyback with another starter. He said you might even see it with Casey Mize, and you might just see that with other guys too, as you kind of try to, monitor their innings. It's a very long season after all, although it feels like it's already been going on for 2 months. We're not even a full month into it yet. So definitely with this one, kind of patience is a virtue, and it is a marathon, not a sprint, as you've heard probably many, many times this season. So I'm excited to see the Spence and the Tarek Skubal kind of thing happen if that does go down indeed on Wednesday. And then, I am kind of intrigued by the Urania start on Thursday, just because after what he did against Oakland last week, I think you got to kind of give him some props. I know that saying this now, I'm sure he will go out there, pitch 2 1/3 inning, give up about 7 runs, and walk about 5 guys. And I will be on the Thursday show screaming and very angry at him. But as it stands right now, at this moment in time, we record on a Monday evening, out of curiosity and curiosity alone, I am excited, I guess, to see Urania pitch Thursday afternoon. So intrigued with all these matchups, more so intrigued with how does the offense respond after an abysmal weekend in Oakland. So that's the main storyline I'm going to be monitoring through this 3-game series. And again, also, not to knock the Pirates, but they're not a good baseball team. It's just, it's pretty well noted. Yeah, they've gotten off to an okay start this year, but they're not going to be a team you see hanging around at the NL Central come end of the season. So on paper and in all reality, this is a series the Tigers should not only expect to win, not only do they expect to win, but they need to win it. That's what it is. So,
you got to go out and get all 3 of these, because starting on Friday, you have 4 against the team that is currently sitting atop the American League Central, the Kansas City Royals. And I don't anticipate that they'll be sitting there at the end of the season. I think some of these other teams will get things together and catch them. But right now, the Royals are playing pretty good baseball.
Yeah, I think if I could go back to our season's prediction episode that we did with Tom like a month ago, I would predict in terms of the AL Central, I think the Royals are going to find a way to finish in 3rd this year. I could be wrong. Yeah, that means a team. Yes, then listeners and viewers at home, you are doing that math correctly. That means, assuming the Tigers finish below 3rd place, that a team like the Indians, the Twins, or the White Sox will have to fall to 4th. But I just got a feeling about this Royals team, man. They've got a really good lineup. I think it's a really kind of under the radar lineup that is going to make a lot of pitching look stupid this year. And I think if they can figure out things on their end with pitching, which so far they have, I think the Royals might be one of those teams. Again, I do not expect them at all to be competing for the AL Central title, but I think they could be looking at a solid 3rd place finish and maybe even borderline a 500 season. Again, this is all probably a bit presumptuous of me, considering the fact we're not even a month into the season, but the way they've played thus far, it is definitely a bit of a head turn. Like, damn, look at the Royals go. And we know that they've got a Tiger killer that we're going to see this weekend. His name's Whit Merrifield. He's coming to town. You get that mixed with the fact that Jorge Soler may hit a home run into Ford Field this weekend. I mean, it's just the Royals are a team that you do not want to mess with. I think they've got a kind of in the same vein as the A's, a real scrappy lineup. So don't sleep on them. Don't sleep on them. I think it only puts more pressure kind of in a way on the Pittsburgh series, because you lose 2 or 3 to Pittsburgh at home. Then you got to face Kansas City at home with the way they're playing. Not looking great for the Tigers if it goes down that road. So again, you really got to go for this series win, but in the back of your mind, you really could use a sweep right now, knowing that then you're about to get 3 at home against Kansas City. So yeah, it's gonna be an interesting week of baseball. That's for sure. Actually, that's right. They have a
4.
weird one. They've got the 4-1. Yeah, that's right. I thought they played that Monday game at home. That's so bizarre. That is very bizarre to me that they just make the Pittsburgh series a 2-game series and then do a 4-game with starting on Thursday against Kansas City. But I thought I had read that correctly, that they've got that weird Monday game at home.
Yep.
That wraps up the series.
3 in Chicago, and then they go 3 in New York.
And then they get a break. Yep.
Yeah, and it's definitely not to continue piling on the pressure on this Pittsburgh series, but you look at who comes after Kansas City, because you're going to go in, you're going to You obviously want to win all your division games, especially when you're at home. But the way the Royals are playing right now, let's say they win 3 of 4 or they split, then you've got 3 against Chicago. And then you go play the New York Yankees, who currently not playing very well, but give them another week and a half and maybe they've got it back together. And figured out, because it's not necessarily a lack of talent on that roster, just isn't quite working for them right now. So it's definitely another tough stretch for the Tigers, and it all kind of starts with this Pittsburgh series when you got to win the ones that you're really, really supposed to win to kind of hang around. And so you want to arrive at Kansas City at 9-10 and maybe come away the end of the Kansas City series 500 going into Chicago.
Well, I'm looking at it right now, the Tigers' schedule up to this point of the games they've won and lost. They are 3-6 against teams in the AL Central. That is not good. We talked about ad nauseum, before we got going with this season, that you want to even have a chance to compete for a World Series, you got to be able to beat teams within your division. And right now they're not doing that. So this is a nice little test. They're going to get this Pittsburgh series out of the way. Hopefully they come away with a few wins there. And then they've got 7 against their division, 4 with Kansas City, 3 in Chicago. And then you are correct. They go from Chicago immediately to New York, which eventually we know those bats will wake up. They're going to have an off day, and then and it doesn't slow down from May either. Just a quick little, preview for that month. They get Boston after New York, then Minnesota, Kansas City, Cubs. I mean, it's not slowing down. It's not slowing down. They're not playing the Colorado Rockies every day. I wish, but that's not how it's happening right now. So they just gotta get it done. It's as simple as that. When their backs were against the wall going into Houston, they shocked the world, I think, and got the job done. Unfortunately, then they took 2 big steps back in the Oakland series. Now it's time to push forward again, and you got to start tomorrow with Pittsburgh. These are wins you got to get. Because you got to get them.
You flip that number. They're 6-3 against teams in the American League Central, and getting swept by Oakland doesn't hurt that much. Like, it hurts, but you're not going, oh no, we're in some real trouble here. And again, obviously still early for all teams. It's still the first month of the season. We won't necessarily have a strong inclination of exactly where everything is until middle of next month, maybe even later, June sometime, where we can kind of like really see who has come up. And Ben, one of the things that I'm going to be watching this week is, can they turn a double play? We've been texting about that. We've been talking about that. Lots of different theories about why maybe they don't have the timing down that one hopes that they should. But hopefully that gets sorted out in some practice reps for these guys, because that timing has been atrocious.
Yep. There has been so many times I've seen a ground ball hit Willie at short, Nico at second, whoever it may be, and they just don't turn it. They just don't turn a double play. I understand that sometimes when you're going for a double play, that it can be a ball is hit slower, so you can only try to get, the force out at second or whatever it might be, you get the lead out. But there's been many a times where it feels like there is definitely room for a double play to be made, and it just doesn't happen. I don't know if it's a positioning issue. I don't know if it's a timing issue. I don't know if it's just an overall speed and talent issue. I don't know what the case is, but you want to talk about helping your pitchers out. That is a moment where you can help your pitcher out. With, next to getting through an inning without making any errors and making your pitcher's pitch count any more taxing, helping them turn double play, roll in a pair, so to speak, it can do wonders. It truly can. So they got to figure that out, because what I saw in the Oakland series and even in the Houston series too at times, not good. So hopefully that gets rectified. And on the Thursday show, the live show, we're talking a better tune here and close to 500 again.
That's right. We will be joining you. That's an afternoon game against Pittsburgh, so we'll have all Pittsburgh results in when we're back on Thursday night with y'all. So hopefully we're celebrating a sweep.
And speaking real quick too, of when we do our Thursday live shows, not to get too car salesman-y on our listeners and viewers, but when we do go live on Thursdays, one thing I've been hearing a lot about is you got to turn on the notifications bell. That's right. If you're following us on Facebook, if you like us on Facebook, make sure that you have your notifications for the page turned on. That way, when we go live, you'll get a little ding in your notification inbox on your phone or your computer saying that Michigan and Trumbull is live. That way you can join in on the conversation, and it's all good fun. And you can like us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, follow us on all that stuff too, because we do some pretty good stuff. The live tweeting during the games has been a lot of fun. We've really kind of been embraced into a nice little community for the most part with Tigers Twitter. Been a lot of fun. Met some really cool people. Just have some fun conversations and banter between the games, because sometimes if it's something like the Oakland series, all you can do is just kind of joke around and hang your head in pity. But let's hope for more of a series like Houston, and we'll go from there.
That's right. We'll have a good one, and we will see y'all live on Thursday night. And Luke, we'll see you throughout the week, and back again for a regular show next Monday.
All right, man. Sounds good, dude.
Have a good one.
You too.